Hello, and welcome to the Rich Alvarez Show. I am, of course, Rich Alvarez, and welcome to the new show that's simply called The Rich Alvarez Show. This is the very first Rich Alvarez Show, episode 1, whatever you want to call it, although, of course, I won't be really calling these episode numbers. These will be, just like the topic of the day, I'm not going to I want to get right to the news. Today we're going to be talking about, the Avengers and the future of the MCU, and we're also going to be talking about Detective Pikachu a little bit. But before we get into that, I did want to say welcome to the very first video of the Rich Alvarez Show. If you are following us on Facebook at facebook.com/RMAProd, then you knew that I was going to start a new movie news show, and that you guys voted on the title and you decided on the Rich Alvarez Show. It was either that or the Rich Podcast or whatever else were the options on there. So welcome to the Rich Alvarez Show. This will be the new place for me to talk about movies, primarily movies, although video games and other bits of pop culture may pop in. Basically just whatever I want to talk about. There's no set time yet. I'm thinking 2 or 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So this is actually a lot later than what would be normal. But I was doing a lot of setup today, trying to get all these things ready. And these all of these graphics down here and everything, and especially the space background, these are not final. This is just what I'm doing for now. Let's just think of them as placeholders until I figure out how to make all this look better for now. But basically, I needed an outlet. I was going crazy. I love doing sketches, and I love doing things like Fallout Elwood, but a lot of you guys know from like my Wiki Richie and the Rich Vlog days, the thing I love to do, maybe even the most, is just talk about my opinions on what's going on in the movie world and everything. And, I needed an outlet to do that. So, the Rich Alvarez Show. We had done things, similarly in the recent past with Star Wars Hour and with Video Game Talk. But, that was always like, it was either video games or Star Wars, and it's like, I want to talk about Marvel all the time, and I want to talk about other things all the time, too, and not just Star Wars and video games, although Star Wars and video games, again, may have a place in here, but also, this is, for the most part, this is going to be a solo show where it's just me talking. I will go over 2 or 3 subjects during an episode, and then I will read, I'll take some time at the end, 10 or so minutes at the end to go over some of your live questions. And of course, if you use Super Chat, and Super Chat I believe is still a thing that works, it's been a while since I did a live show, if you do a Super Chat, of course I will have to answer it during the show, because if you do a Super Chat, you essentially paid for it, and I'd feel guilty not answering it right away. Although I might have a system later on down where I read all the Super Chats at the end too. I don't know. I'm just, again, figuring this all out, and we'll just figure it out, as we go. But anyways, yeah, so Rich Alvarez Show, I'm really excited to start this. Basically, aside from me just wanting to do a show like this, I think what really inspired me is, I've been a big fan of Collider Movie Talk for a long time, and they've really, they've switched up their format a bit, over the last year or so, and especially now they just changed it again. And one of my favorite people on Collider Movie Talk was always John Campea, and then he left Collider and started his own show, just the John Campea Show, and I love the way that he kind of does that and goes through the motions there. So, he was a big inspiration for this show now as well. So, again, 2 topics, and I will, in the future, I will, be reading off those topics, right away. But anyways, let's hop to it then. So, first topic of the day is the Avengers. Look at this, a second screen with myself, and then over here, Avengers. Okay. No, don't be dazzled by the awesome effects in this video. So anyways, so there's the Avengers, and many of you have seen Avengers Endgame, and if you haven't, this should probably be at the top. Spoilers! Warning, spoilers. But of course the Russo brothers said that we didn't have to give spoiler warnings anymore for some. I'll just leave that up in case people are coming on here. Russo brothers said that we didn't have to give spoiler warnings anymore because apparently after the second weekend, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to spoil anything too heavy. What I'm really going to be talking about is who I think the new Avengers are going to be going into Phase 4, and of course kind of be talking about my thoughts on Phase 4 of, the MCU. So, as many of you guys know, the Russo brothers have said that Endgame isn't technically the end of Phase 3. Technically, Spider-Man Far From Home is the end of Phase 3. And what I think that they mean by that is that, Far From Home is kind of serving as an extended epilogue to Avengers Endgame. We get to see Spider-Man, especially Peter Parker, in kind of the aftermath of what happened in Endgame. And, his life, a lot of his friends were in, the same way. They've missed out on the last 5 years of life. Although, of course, the last 5 years on Earth haven't been great, apparently, so, that's all good. But I think what's going to happen is that will serve as the epilogue, and that will be the end. That will be the true end of this story. And then I think, in my personal opinion, I think that the next MCU movie, whatever it is, unless it's a prequel, like the Black Widow movie probably is a prequel, the next movie after Spider-Man Far From Home, I think we're going to see a bigger time jump, maybe 5, maybe 10 years, because I personally would love to see characters like Tony Stark's daughter become like the next become Iron Woman or something like that. I would love to see like younger characters become part of the Avengers, and I would love to see Spider-Man become a leader in the Avengers. Now we've got Falcon, who is basically our new Captain America. And we have, of course, characters that are still part of it. The War Machine, Bucky, and the Hulk, Professor Hulk now, and everybody else. Thor, who So I kind of wanted to deep dive into who I thought the new Avengers were going to be, and I guess to be more specific, who the core team of the Avengers are going to be, because we know there's always 4 to 6 main Avengers, and then everyone else is kind of just like support. I think that the leaders are going to be definitely Doctor Strange, Professor Hulk, Falcon, Captain America, and maybe even just those 3. Because as much as I like Hawkeye, I don't think he's gonna really come back again. I guess I definitely need the spoiler alert on there. So because Hawkeye, his entire family was wiped out by the snap, initially, and then with the second snap, his family came back, and after all of the, terrible things he did during, between Endgame and Infinity War, I don't think he's ready to really be superhero right now. I think he is going to retire and live with his family, and I don't really see Hawkeye having a prominent role going forward. He may have some cameos here and there, but I would be very surprised if Clint, Hawkeye, became a prominent member in the Avengers again after everything said and done. So I'm going to say that he's on the reserve list, but he wouldn't be like a leader. So so aside from Falcon, who is now Captain America, a lot of people think that Black Panther and Spider-Man will be leaders. I would love to see Spider-Man be a leader of the Avengers, but unfortunately, because of the rights with Sony and everything, I think their contract with the Marvel Studios, with Disney, was, I believe, for 4 or 5 films, and I think the 5th film would be the sequel to Far From Home, the 3rd solo movie. So I'm not sure if they're going to allow them to keep using Spider-Man in the Avengers movies or any other MCU movies. They could extend that contract, but as far as I know, right now they haven't. And I think Sony is kind of gearing up for their own solo Marvel universe. Sony does this. So they're doing it with Venom, and they're doing it with Black Cat and a couple other properties. They want to have their own Marvel universe based on the characters that they own, which are part of the Spider-Man universe. And apparently they're done playing nice with Marvel. They shared Spider-Man for a little bit to kind of boost up Spider-Man's popularity again, and now they're going to cut the cord at some point. But that could get extended. Disney could re-enter negotiations with them, and they could, something could be worked out. But either way, I feel like because of the tension there and because of the uncertainty, I do not think that Spider-Man will be a main Avenger going forward. I think he will continue to be a supporting act, if anything, going forward. Now, as far as Black Panther goes, I feel like it would be out of character for him. I think it would be against his character to be a leader of the Avengers, because he's also the leader of Wakanda, and I think that he's going to continue doing what he has been doing, which is being the leader of Wakanda and then helping out the other Marvel characters, helping out the Avengers when he's absolutely needed. Like when they came for his support, the characters went to Wakanda for his support in Avengers Infinity War, and then of course him and the other Wakandans came to help out the Avengers at the end of Endgame. So I don't think that he'll be a leader of the Avengers. He's just got way too much going on. Bucky, I think that Bucky could be a primary Avenger, but I don't think that anyone would see him as the leader. It's the same reason why Bucky didn't get the shield and he wasn't named as the new Captain America at the end of Endgame. It was Falcon, because Bucky, as good of a guy as Bucky might be now, he's got this stigma about him. People knew that he was the Winter Soldier. People knew that, he did some bad things. And I don't think they're going to see him as a leader. They might not even accept him as part of the Avengers team at all. Same thing with Scarlet Witch. People know that she did a lot of those destructive things. Of course, they may have forgiven her now for those transgressions. I don't know. I do think that Scarlet Witch will be a main player going forward, but I don't know if she'll be seen as the leader. Really, my bet is that Falcon, now that he's Captain America, will kind of take the reins of that, with War Machine, Rhodey kind of taking the second commander position. That's my thoughts. And we're going to talk about what I think about Phase 4 in a second. We have a super chat from my good friend Derek, who you guys know as the Wizard in all of our, sketches where we have wizards. There's been at least 3 of them, and there's a new wizard sketch coming up soon. So Derek asks, don't you think Disney is just going through an outrageous amount of don't you think Disney is going to throw an outrageous amount of money to Spider-Man after their Sony series fails? I think that Disney has already... Thank you, Derek. I think that Disney has already thrown Sony an incredible amount of money, and they will continue to throw money at Sony until Sony does that thing that 20th Century Fox used to do, where, because Disney used to try to throw a lot of money at 20th Century Fox, like, hey, can we get those Fantastic Four rights? Can we get those X-Men rights? And 20th Century Fox was like, nah, those are ours. We need something to compete with you. And until finally Disney was like, oh, well, then we're just going to buy up all your stock and own your company. That's what they did. They can't do that with Sony because Sony's too big right now, unfortunately, unless Disney really wants to pay the $200 billion that Sony would cost, probably. And I don't think they're going to, because they barely got that 20th Century Fox acquisition. I think that if they tried to get Sony to, that would be considered a monopoly in the eyes of the court. So that's not going to fly. So, and then of course Sony could just sell Disney the rights to Spider-Man, but they're not going to, because that's Sony's biggest bargaining chip right now, and they're just not going to do that. But again, Disney could keep throwing money at them to try to get to keep Spider-Man in there. But you have to remember, with so many great characters that we still, have, the Hulk and Thor and everyone else, which I haven't even talked about those 2 guys yet. I don't think they're going to need... I don't think they're going to need Spider-Man. If Sony's like, oh, you have to pay us an additional $100 million to get Spider-Man in Avengers 5 or whatever, I think Disney's going to be like, you know what? The fans love Spider-Man, but $100 million extra bucks, that's not worth it. People also love Thor and Hulk, and, we don't need them. So I think, unfortunately, I feel like Sony is going to get greedier, and Disney's just going to realize they don't need Spider-Man. I need Spider-Man. You need Spider-Man, but Disney doesn't need Spider-Man. Does that make sense? Because we're going to see the movies no matter what anyway. So they're just going to keep thinking of it as a business deal. So I think Professor Hulk, going back to before, I think Professor Hulk could be a prominent leader in the Avengers, but I've never seen Bruce Banner as kind of wanting that leadership role, especially if you kind of see how he does things in Endgame. He's a great support character, but I don't think he ever wants to have that mantle of leader. And Thor, Thor's all over the place. Is Thor going to be part of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the As Guardians of the Galaxy, or are they going to do a 4th Thor movie? I mean, everything's been in talks. I think the only thing that is official for that area of Marvel is that we are going to be getting a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but we're probably not going to get it until 2022. Which is very upsetting, but that's just kind of how the schedule has rolled out, and there's no official word on for Thor, so I would expect Thor to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for the very beginning of it, and then he'll get tossed out the airlock or something, and then that story will get picked up in Thor 4. Anyways, that's just kind of what I'm thinking right now. We're also going to be getting that Black Widow solo movie, and I do believe, of course, that is going to be a prequel, otherwise they're going to have to retcon all kinds of stuff. I feel like people just got on board with the way that the quantum physics works as far as time travel goes in Avengers Endgame, and it's extremely complicated. And if we have a Black Widow movie that's set after that, where she comes back or something, that's really going to mess with the very fine time travel they have, and it's just going to make it very confusing. So I think it'll be a prequel talking about how she basically became herself. We're getting a Bucky and Winter Soldier Disney Plus show. Disney Plus, of course, starts in November. I'm not sure if that show starts in November, but hey, we are getting the Star Wars show, The Mandalorian, in November, so I'm very excited about that. Different topic. There's been a lot of talks about Doctor Strange 2, and possibly, again, for Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Black Widow, and Ant-Man 3. These are all rumors, those guys. These are all rumors, guys, because there is no official word on exactly what we're getting. Marvel has just recently announced release dates for, I believe, their next 8 films. Those are just release dates. So they're like, oh, we're getting, this date, this date, this date, this date. But there's no titles to go along with those dates. Movie studios like to do this these days, especially when they have a lot of heft. Like Marvel Studios, they like to put out their release dates ahead of time so that other studios can see those dates and be like, ooh, there's an MCU movie coming out in August of 2022. So let's make sure that our movie is on track for a different date. Like, in other words, MCU puts those dates out there so that other studios know not to put anything around them, because with an MCU movie in that release date, it makes it very hard for another, especially an indie film, to get any recognition at that time. And again, what I'm about to talk about with Detective Pikachu, we're in the 3rd weekend of Avengers Endgame, and Avengers Endgame is doing so well and everybody still wants to see it, that's making Detective Pikachu suffer. And I don't think anybody could have anticipated. I mean, everybody knew that Avengers Endgame was going to perform well, but it's performing very well. It just topped Titanic at the overall box office of all time. I'm slurring a little bit today for some reason. It just outperformed Titanic. It is now the 2nd highest grossing movie of all time before it even reached its 3rd weekend at the box office. So I'm very hopeful that it will take the number 1 spot ahead of Avatar. Because whose favorite movie is Avatar? I wouldn't even put Avatar in my top 10. So I don't know. I never understood how Avatar has stayed the number 1 box office film for so long. That's another subject also. But anyways, so we're talking about the release dates, and again, it's a safety measure for other studios. It's also kind of, I think, a way for Disney to be like, hey, these are our dates. Don't you try to take them, And with that, now that Disney owns 20th Century Fox, they also own Avatar itself, and so they've also given us the release dates for upcoming Star Wars and Avatar movies, and starting in, I believe, 2021, Avatar and Star Wars are going to be rotating Christmas cycles. So it'll be like Avatar 2 in 2021, another Star Wars movie in December of 2022, Avatar, Star Wars, and so on, for the next, decade. And those would be the Benioff and Weiss Star Wars movies, the creator of the Game of Thrones show, not George R. R. Martin, the creators of the show, Benioff and Weiss. They are doing the next 3 movies after episode 9. Now, whether that's episodes 10, 11, and 12, or The Old Republic, or something completely different, again, we have no idea. Once again, movie studios like to release dates without giving us the movie titles. Now, I do want to keep these Rich Alvarez shows under an hour, so I don't want to ramble too much about any one topic. So I think that we've had a good discussion about Marvel. We talked about who I thought might be the leaders there, and we talked a little bit about Phase 4. Now for our second topic of the day, we're going to be talking about Detective Pikachu, a movie that I have just seen for the first time this morning. I'm a day late, of course, but I was busy doing No Pain No Gain, our Hot Sauce Challenge show last night, so I didn't have time to see it yesterday. So Detective Pikachu, and here's what I want to say about Detective Pikachu, because me and Jackie watched it this morning, and we were kind of mixed on how we felt about it at first. But I do think I'm overall positive about the movie. I would give it a positive score, but it's not an overwhelming. I'm going to take that spoiler warning off because I'm not going to give any. I'm not going to give any spoilers for Detective Pikachu. I will have a non-spoiler discussion right now about Detective Pikachu, so I'm not going to give anything away. But I do want to say, if you've heard other people talking about the movie and saying, oh, it's really good for Pokemon fans, but if you're not a Pokemon fan, then you might not understand everything. I don't think that that's true. I think that the movie tells you exactly if there is a Pokemon important to the movie. For example, Psyduck. is a character that is in most of this film. You know, the girl that is partnered with Psyduck, she tells you his name, what he does, and then Pikachu also kind of tells you, oh, he's gonna have a psychic blast, so I feel like everything that's important to know, in the film. You could go into this movie not knowing anything about Pokemon and still enjoy it, I think. But I think what was upsetting to us a little bit was that I feel like it didn't treat the audience like they were smart, if that makes any sense. I felt like they tried to this movie was trying to cater to adults and children by, of course, having all the cute moments of Pokemon, but with like Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Pikachu for the adults, taking their kids to see the movie. And I really, here's my disappointment in the movie. I really wanted this movie to feel like a Pokemon live action film that was made for, also besides children, fans of the show growing up, of the original games. And I feel like this mostly catered to new fans of the games. And I don't just mean children. I also mean, I feel like this kind of catered to the Pokemon Go generation of catching Pokemons and having a Pokemon partner. And it did give us a little bit of tidbits and nostalgia for it had references to the original anime, and just very slight references and very light references to the original games. But I feel like this movie, the tone and everything, it was made for more of the Pokemon Go generation and kids that are playing Pokemon today. And in fact, Jackie, who has been my wife Jackie, has been a lifelong Pokemon fan forever, has played every generation and loves Pokemon to death, even said that she felt like this movie would have been great if it came out in 1997. She said the whole tone of the movie kind of has that very light 90s cheese. And I agree with that somewhat. There's the girl, the main girl in the movie, the love interest to Tim, I think that's his name, the main kid. Her whole acting, or I don't know if this was her character or if this is just how she acts, she felt like someone she felt like a character you would expect from a Disney Channel original film or a Nickelodeon after-school special. If that makes any sense. She felt like she was a character in a children's television show because of how matter-of-fact and sassy and just very cheesy acting. It's that's the only way that I can describe it. She would be a supporting character on Kenan and Kel. If that makes any sense. Hannah Montana. She's just I have the scoop and I'm going to get it. So it's very, very, loud motions and everything. It's something you would expect from one of my sketches, maybe. It just wasn't, I don't know why I expected this, or even if I should have expected this. I would expect the movie to respect all generations of fans and be there for everyone. Again, I didn't think the movie was bad. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and give the movie a 7.5 out of 10, which is an average score. 7.5, again, for people that, it's below 8, it's horrible. No, a 7.5 would just be like a C on a test, 75%. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just somewhere in the middle. And I really think that, I think that's where I stand. I enjoyed the movie. I really did enjoy the movie, but I walked out of it wanting more. And I would hope that if the movie is a financial success at all, that they take that as a success for Pokemon and not necessarily Detective Pikachu. I would love to see side stories and more movies in the Pokemon universe, but I don't think I need a sequel to Detective Pikachu. Again, I'm not going to spoil the plot, but I mean, for example, I would love a mob movie set in the Pokemon universe. Get Giovanni in there, show the inner workings of Team Rocket and how they became that operation. That's the kind of movie I want to see. That would be so cool to see, a Pokemon Underground movie. But again, if it's the same mindset that they had going into Detective Pikachu, we're we got to make it for kids, then I don't think we're ever going to see something like that, which is really disappointing, because I think that this is the thing that I don't think marketers and executives realize at Hollywood studios. When they're Pokemon's for kids, we got to make it for today's kids, but they forget that we all grew up with Pokemon, and how cool would it be to jump back into a franchise that maybe you haven't visited in a couple of decades and have it still be for you, and that's where I feel like everybody has kind of not everything, but that's where a lot of things have missed the mark. I feel like Transformers. I don't care for the Transformers movies. I don't think that those were made for me either. And again, of course, nothing has to be made for me. But I didn't care for the Transformers movies because it's like I personally would have appreciated the entire Transformers movie to be on Cybertron with no humans and just talking about the war, because I don't need humans in my Transformer movie. But what do we get in our Transformers movies? 90% humans and maybe about 10% cyber, robots. I was going to say Decepticons or Autobots, Anyways, I want to see more Optimus and less Shia LaBeouf. Does that make sense? And with this movie too, I feel like, obviously Pokemon trainers and humans have always been a part of the Pokemon universe, but I felt like, besides Pikachu and Psyduck, and another character that I don't want to spoil in case you don't know the plot of the film, we didn't really get to see the inner workings of the other Pokemon too much. It was just mostly just like little callbacks and little cameos and little surprises. And so again, it was 7.5 out of 10. I think it is one of the better video game movies ever made because it was okay and not a pile of trash like other video game movies. So I guess it's a step in the right direction, but oh boy, would I love a video game movie that respected the original fans. Again, I'm not going to get what I want, so that's fine, but, I'm just putting that out there. That was my 2 cents about it. Okay, so we're going back to the solo frame. All right. So, anyways, now it is the time for me to talk about live questions. Again, if you're joining me now, I would like to reserve, 5, 10, 15 minutes of live questions. So start typing out your questions to me right now, because I can't possibly go back through that whole thing, all right now. So start typing out your questions that you would like me to answer right now. And again, I might not have time to answer all of them, but you can do a super chat, which will make it highlighted and easy for me to read, and I will absolutely read all super chats that come my way. And again, and this is going to be a thing throughout the rest of, as this show evolves, if you write me a super chat, I will answer it no matter where I am in this show. I could be 2 minutes into the show, and you write me a super chat, I'm going to answer it, because I have to respect the fact that you paid money for a super chat. And I've done this before on other shows. Like, I've written super chats to other YouTubers, and they don't even read it because they got, so many of them, and they wait till the end. So I know I don't think I'm at that level yet where I'm going to have way too many super chats to read, but I will say, for right now, at least for the time being, the way I'm formatting the show is, if you write me a super chat, I'm going to answer it. So, anyways, I'm going to stick to that as long as I can. Anyways. Okay, what am I looking at right now? So Gravedigger says, that's illegal though. You are not allowed to say you want less Shia LaBeouf. Well, that's hilarious, but I can definitely say I want less Shia LaBeouf. And the funny thing is, I don't even think Shia LaBeouf is that bad for the most part. He has been, I thought he was bad in Indiana Jones 4, for example, and I thought he was okay in those Transformers movies. I can definitely say I want less of him, but actually, I would like to see more of Shia LaBeouf in movies, but I would like to see him get better at his, at everything. I want to see more. I want to see him evolve as an actor. I want to see him take riskier parts and do something to surprise me. So, that would be interesting. Let's see here. Enderbot GM 102 says, who do you think is going to be the next big MCU villain? Gosh, it really just depends. I don't think they're going to put any X-Men or Fantastic Four in Phase 4. I should have talked about that too. Because they just acquired the rights. Everybody thinks they're going to put them in right away. They just acquired the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four. And Kevin Feige and the other guys over at MCU, Marvel, have kind of already figured out their plans for the most part for Phase 4. So I don't think they're going to... I wouldn't expect them to, try to shoehorn in Fantastic Four and X-Men just yet, since they already have a plan. It was easy with Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man Homecoming was originally not supposed to be part of Phase 3, but then they got the rights to Spider-Man. I shouldn't say got the rights. They were allowed to use Spider-Man thanks to Sony agreeing to let them use it, and they jumped on the opportunity to put him in Civil War and make Spider-Man Homecoming. And remember, Spider-Man's just one character, so it was easy enough to fit him into the current Phase 3. But we're talking about Fantastic Four and X-Men. Those are very complicated canons. And I don't think that, I mean, once you put Fantastic Four and especially X-Men, once you put them into the MCU, it changes the landscape of the MCU completely. I don't see them coming in Phase 4. Sorry, but to answer your question, though, and the reason why I brought all that because I would love to see Doctor Doom, for example, as a villain in the MCU, but not yet, because we have to have the Fantastic Four first. So, or Galactus for that matter. I think it would be too soon for Galactus. I would actually really like to see Adam Warlock as a villain first, and then a hero later. And the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 teased us a little bit about Adam Warlock, and he is super powerful, so it would be interesting to see Adam Warlock as a villain, and my bet... here's what I'm going to say. I know that Thanos was the overarching villain of, phases 1 through 3, but I have a strong gut feeling that going forward, now that the whole Thanos thing is over, I think there will be villains per phase. So I don't think we're going to... Like, for example, if Galactus was the villain, I don't think he's going to last in the background throughout 3 phases. I think he would be the villain of maybe 1 phase, maybe teased in another one. Who knows? But I think... I would say... just because he's the only powerful being that we've seen so far teased, I think that there's a good chance that Adam Warlock could be a villain and then become a hero later. We also are getting an Eternals movie pretty soon, so that really opens the door for a lot of villain possibilities as well. I don't know. Adam Warlock or somebody else. Again, I would love to see Doctor Doom or Galactus, but I don't think we're going to get it. Here's an interesting question. Lost My Mind one says, do you still make Stupid Mario Bros? I haven't seen any episodes forever. No, we did so many Stupid Mario shows. We had the original Stupid Mario show for 5 seasons, and then we had the Stupid Mario Brothers movie. Then we had Stupid Mario World for a couple of seasons, which was the follow-up to Stupid Mario Brothers. And then we had the Plumber Knight Returns, the alternate universe futuristic version of Stupid Mario Bros., which was much more serious, for a couple of seasons. And then we wrapped up, in case you guys didn't know, by the way, if you're joining me for the first time in forever, if there is a definitive end to Stupid Mario Brothers, it's a movie called Stupid Mario Legacy. Check it out. It's on the channel. It's like 2 hours long or something. I can't remember. But we made it a couple of years ago. It's a fantastic film if you like Stupid Mario Brothers. Stupid Mario Legacy wraps up the entire thing. KirbyBot says, who here likes Matt? I do. He's a great friend. And you all should like him too. I'm looking for more comments here. I should have somebody... one of these days I should get somebody over here to pick out the good comments for me. I'm seeing a whole lot of comments here. What was your favorite moment in Endgame? Well, again, I don't want to, and this is from Gravedigger, I don't want to give out any more spoilers, but I would say a funny moment for me, and I think they've even officially released this as a separate scene on their YouTube now, so this really isn't a spoiler, and again, it's probably not my favorite moment in the movie, but I love that scene where Hulk is taking a picture with the kids, because it's just kind of a nice, goofy moment before we get into, like, some really deep, dramatic moments in the movie. You know, they're like, yeah, Hulk. And then Ant-Man is just like, hey, can you guys want a picture with me? I'm Ant-Man. And the kid's like, no. And Ant-Man's like, look, he's even saying no. And it's this great little dynamic here. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But if not, then you'll see, and it's hilarious. Alright, I'm not going to mention that because that's another spoiler. I don't want to answer too many Stupid Mario questions. I mean, I know Stupid Mario Brothers was a huge thing on this channel for a long time, but I want to really keep the Rich Alvarez show about the media and talking. You know, if you want to ask me a question about what's going on the Rich Alvarez channel besides this show, the Rich Alvarez show, you know, why don't you ask me a question about Fallout Elwood or No Pain No Game or one of the shows that we're doing now? You know, I won't say no to every Stupid Mario question. I just want to make sure that it doesn't just all become a thing about Stupid Mario Brothers, which was good for its time, but we're doing better things now. My opinion. Let's see here. I have not even read this question to the end, but let me see here. Eternity Studio asks, as you've created Patreons and tried crowdfunding for projects before, I'll ask this. I've started a GoFundMe for an episodic website I'm making. How do I get donations and shares? What sticks? Well, that's a very, very open-ended question, but I mean, it is hard. Again, I don't even get what I need through my stuff. I have a Patreon, and I sell T-shirts, and I do a lot of stuff. And for me personally, I wouldn't even say that anything that I've done has actually stuck right now. Still working on all those things. The most successful campaign I think we did was for the clicking. Excuse me. It was for the clicking noise, which was a film, just an independent film that we did back in 2011. Gosh, it's been 8 years. We had I believe it was Indiegogo, and we had a fund page on Indiegogo for the clicking noise. And I think just because we did that in 2011, and it was at a time where we had a lot of active fans, we advertised that page to heck on the YouTube, that we ended up getting the funding. I believe we got all the funding we needed for the clicking noise, and then eventually we were able to finish filming the movie and put it on YouTube. You can see the clicking noise on YouTube, on this YouTube channel, but it didn't perform very well on the channel because people aren't really interested in very subdued sci-fi dramas. It turns out on YouTube, Yeah, it's really hard. Everything else I've tried, like even the current Patreon, it doesn't ever quite meet my goals. It is a mystery. Some projects, like you hear about these indie games that just get like 20 million funds, and everything. It's like, I feel like you just have to kind of hit the right wave at the right time, or get on the right social media, do the right tags. And unfortunately, I don't have the answer because, again, the one really good successful campaign I had was just kind of riding on the coattails of my YouTube success. And my YouTube success, at least in the beginning, was just kind of a fluke, People were just searching Mario and found Stupid Mario Brothers. And then people liked the show. So it's very hard, and unfortunately I don't have the answer, but I would say never give up. If you're trying to fund something, never give up. Keep trying. Keep getting it out there on social media. Try new tags in your posts. Try to tag as many people that you think are interested as possible. And, reach out to any friends and family you have that might have a connection as far as, getting the word out there. And that's really all there is to it. It is 90% luck, unfortunately. And if I had a better answer to that, my Patreon would be doing much better than it is right now. But you can find it at patreon.com/Alvarez. Anyways. Good. Nanostar says, how is Elwood coming along? So as you guys may or may not know, Fallout Elwood is our live action Fallout, based on the series show. We stopped filming it, we're not done. But we stopped filming it after we uploaded the second episode, and then we had to stop. We had to stop in the middle of filming the third episode because it started raining, and winter got really bad here in Northern California, much worse than I expected it to. Because for a while we had a drought and there wasn't really any rain at all, and now we're having these thunderstorms. And I needed to wait. I don't want to film that show in the mud. That's not what the apocalypse is to me. So I've been waiting for it to dry out, and it's still kind of moist over here. So I would say in a month or two, we're going to pick it back up, and you should have Fallout Elwood Episode 3 at some point this summer. But I don't know how far we're going to go with the show, just because, it's a lot of work. It is... if you've seen an episode of Fallout Elwood, it is an awful lot of work, and the show makes no money. I'll be blunt. I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to be as honest with you guys as I possibly can, and I'm going to give you honest answers. How's it coming along? It's gonna happen. You're going to get an episode 3. Past that, I don't know. I have to see how episode 3 is received, because it is a lot of work. But thank you for asking about Fallout Elwood. Let's see here. Trip K hilariously says, "Keep scrolling. I'm just a comment. Move along." That's funny. Let's see here. Here's an interesting question by Inuyasha. Inuyasha Dinosaur 101 Brewer says, "What are your thoughts on Jurassic World and Dominus Rex and Indoraptor, and thoughts on Fallen Kingdom?" I'll just summarize that real quick by saying that I enjoy the heck out of Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. People in my personal life know, and now you'll know for the first time ever, maybe, I don't know if I've said this in video before, Jurassic Park is my favorite film. The original Jurassic Park is my favorite film. I was about 6 years old when the movie came out, and ever since I saw that movie, I thought, I want to make movies. Well, Now I'm making YouTube videos, but same thing, sort of. But you would not have gotten Stupid Mario Brothers. You would not have gotten anything I've done without Jurassic Park. That is the movie that made me want to pick up a camera and start making things. And so I love the lore of Jurassic Park. Is Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom as good as Jurassic Park? No. But I do like them a whole lot better than I like Jurassic Park 3. And they are, I think they're pretty good. A lot of people didn't like Fallen Kingdom. They thought it was too slow or too whatever. I actually really enjoyed the kind of haunted house feel of Fallen Kingdom. And I think it really worked for me as more of a suspense thriller film. So I enjoyed the heck out of it, but I understand why a lot of people didn't. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on. I'm just going to answer a couple more questions because we're over 40 minutes in already. And again, I want to try to keep these things under an hour, over 30, about 40 minutes is probably a perfect time for these videos, I would say, but I'll answer a couple more questions. Catherine Mason asks, "Hi, Catherine. Is this your first live stream?" It is not my first live stream. I have live streamed many things in the past, but this is the first ever stream of the Rich Alvarez Show, which is my new show where I get to talk about whatever I want. So thank you. Morning coffee run! Archie's here! He says, slides into chat late as always. Hello, Archie. Welcome to my brand new show. Unfortunately, I'm just about to end. But I didn't tell a single soul. I didn't even, there was only a couple of people on the Rich Alvarez team that knew that this was happening today. I knew that it was happening because I'm doing it right now. Let's see here. Pros asks, I think it would be safe to say that if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is made, there could be either a Guardians of the Galaxy villain or a Thor villain, as he's now a part of them, possibly even both, which would be cool. Yeah, I do think, again, that's why I brought up Adam Warlock, who was teased at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, even though he's not traditionally a villain. And yeah, any Thor villain. I actually really liked Hela in Ragnarok. It would be cool if she wasn't dead, so that she could continue to be a cool villain, although... then it would, how would she have survived? How, Ragnarok? I don't know. I just want her back because I think that that Hela was. I thought she was a really cool villain. I can't believe I've just learned for the first time recently. I can't believe that some people were mixed on Thor Ragnarok. That might just be my favorite MCU movie. I just love the heck out of it because. Taika Waititi wrote and directed it, and, he wrote and directed Flight of the Conchords, one of my favorite shows of all time. He wrote and directed What We Do in the Shadows, a fantastic fake documentary about vampires, and his humor is all over that film, and it's incredible. I love Thor Ragnarok. Anyways, yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the Rich Alvarez Show, the very first Rich Alvarez Show. Everything you see here will be improved over time. Trying to work out all the bugs. Again, I'm goaling for either a 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time date. Now, whether or not this is going to be Monday through Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, whatever it is, I haven't quite figured that out yet. I thought I would just premiere the first one today and see what you all thought. Let me know. Definitely let me know in the comments below. What you think of this show. What do you think about this? Obviously I got to change this space background. Let me know about these graphics. How you think I run the show. Do you like talking about 2 or 3 different topics and then doing a Q&A at the end? Do you think I shouldn't do anything at all? Perhaps you think I should just go back to doing Stupid Mario Brothers. Well, spoiler alert, I'm not going back to Stupid Mario Brothers. But, if that's what you need to tell me in the comments, I guess you can go ahead and tell me. I won't say no to comments. But hey, go ahead and give this video a like. Please share this video with your friends. And, of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell and say you want to stay notified so you actually get notified that these videos are happening. Alright guys, you've been a fantastic audience. I love you guys. This has been Rich Alvarez, signing off of the Rich Alvarez Show. Bye. Oh, we're still going, I think. Wow.